Outlaw Wrestling fans. I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. I witnessed Outlaw Wrestling for the very first time with the SummerSlam Spectacular, seemingly, considering SummerSlam 2022, which is underway as I record, is taking place, but I wasn't going to stick around and sit through that. But Outlaw Wrestling kicked off their show. The first match was unannounced as Johnny Rambo took on Nobody's Better Michael Mistretta. Seemed like a good opening match, and seemed like as the show went on, more fans came inside the building. Next up, in a match that was advertised, we saw, I believe, the Outlaw debut of Bulldog Pittman take on Ray Jazz, accompanied in the ring by Orion Dove. I remember Orion Dove from Five Borough Wrestling. I miss that promotion. Bulldog Pittman came out of ECPW, and I've seen him in Ace Pro Wrestling. These two had a seemingly good matchup here. The ending quite shocked me. Ray Jazz launched himself off the apron, over the ropes, over Pittman, and gave him a backslide to pin him. Quite an ending for that matchup. Next up in women's action, I don't know if one or both of these ladies made their Outlaw debut, as Tiara James defeated Layla Luciano. Very good match by both ladies. Then we had tag team matches, as we saw Seth and Mike Cortez, the Audacity, do battle with Jose and Joel Maximo, the fathers of the style of today, the SAT. Seeing this was the only tag team match on the show, they faced each other many times this year. At one point, Jose Maximo had a dive through the ropes, over the guardrail onto both Seth and Mike on the floor. Eventually the end came when the SAT hit, I forgot who, Seth or Micah, with the Spanish Fly, enabling the SAT to pick up the victory over the Audacity. And then up next we saw the Outlaw Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, as we saw Ring of Honor's Righteous member Dutch challenge the notorious 187 Homicide in what turned out to be a pretty good matchup. To my surprise, they actually went into the crowd and tried what they could, because obviously they want to damage the place. I mean, at one point they ended up on the picnic table that I was sitting at, with the benches attached. Homicide did like a double axe handle off that picnic table onto Dutch, and at one point I think they went on to the next picnic table, and it looked like I think Dutch knocked over a beer pitcher, and the pitcher spilt all over that table. They eventually come back to the ring. Homicide hits two ace crashers. I think he kicked out of one. That Homicide used some kind of a submission hold. It didn't look like a traditional sleeper, but he put Dutch down as he didn't respond 3 times when his arm dropped, and Homicide was victorious to retain the Outlaw Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. At that point, they went to intermission, which surprised me. Then, next up, we were set to see Rick Recon take on the vegan Leo Sparrow, but just before that match got underway, the ring announcer announced that it was now going to be a triple threat match, and the third competitor was Masha Slamovich, or is it Slamovic? I know it's spelled Slamovich. She had been featured most recently on Impact Wrestling, and it was a triple threat match, which saw Masha Slamovich defeat Rick Recon and Leo Sparrow when she pinned Recon with a package pile driver. Next up, we had singles action, as we saw a certain wrestler from Brooklyn, New York, named Bull James, as he went one-on-one with the franchise Shane Douglas. They both did promos before the match, and Douglas, I don't know whether or not he finished his promo, he used the microphone as a weapon on Bull, and I think that was just before the bell rang. And at one point, they went out to the floor. Bull brought in 2 chairs and a door. He set the door up on the 2 chairs. Douglas hits Bull in the balls, And then Douglas gives Bull a belly-to-belly suplex through the door, through the chairs, reminiscent of Douglas doing that to Bam Bam Bigelow at November to Remember 1997, the late Bam Bam Bigelow. Surprisingly, Bull kicked out of that. He eventually, I forgot what he did next. I think actually Douglas actually, he went for the, at one point he went for the old funk spinning toe hold, and Bull kicked Douglas, and Douglas hit the chair set up in the corner. And then, actually at one point while they were outside brawling, Douglas grabbed a cue stick from one of the billiard tables, and I guess he didn't want to break anything. He was about to use the stick, but instead gives Bull a kick. Then, well, eventually the end came when Bull James hit the sit-down splash, which was, of course, the finishing move of the late John Earthquake Tenta, or as I call it, have a seat. And Bull defeated Shane Douglas, picked up the victory. After the match was over, Douglas takes the microphone. He says, "I swear to God, I'm not going to come back to this wannabe New York City town again." And then it was main event time, as we saw the fifth and final match in the best of 5 series between Jaden Vallow and Encore Moore. Now, when Homicide and Dutch went on, when they did, my first thought that Jaden and Encore had to go on last. And they did. They managed to put on a good matchup, and lets me down that I didn't get to see their previous four confrontations. And Encore picked up the win. I forgot what move he hit. And Encore was victorious over Jaden Vallow, and after the match they hugged and embraced. Well, personal notes time. It was great seeing Willie Wise. Jay Santee, I'm not sure if that's his real name, but he usually frequents House of Glory shows. Great seeing John Arpino, I think that's his last name. He saw me at the door at the time I arrived. One thing I gotta say, I don't know, I will think twice about going to a show at Queen's Brewery in the summer. It was so hot in there. As I said, they had picnic tables with benches attached to them. But the thing is, those things, there's nothing to lean the back against, and those things are so rough on the backside. I will say, forgot his name. Very good ring announcer. Also a great DJ, and I forgot to mention when Shane Douglas said he was never going to come back to Queens, the DJ started playing na 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 hey hey goodbye. Some memorable quotes. "You came all the way here?" Michael Mastretta, when he noticed me in the crowd during his match. "Robert, I hate you!" Mastretta, after he won, right at me when after he won his match. Okay, my question is, I remember when Outlaw Wrestling began and it was run by Bull James. Outlaw Wrestling was using NYWC's license. Does anybody know if Outlaw has their own license in the state of New York now? Outlaw Wrestling will be having 4. Yeah. A symbol of excellence. 4 shows in the month of August. On Thursday night, August 18th, they return to Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York. Friday night, August 19th, I believe this is their debut in Rockaway Beach, New York. Forgot the name of that place. Saturday, August 20th, they return to St. Patrick's in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And Sunday, Botchamania. Sunday, August 21st, they return to Bayshore, Long Island. Now, for the Williamsburg show on Thursday, August 18th, it's already been announced that we'll have a battle royal that night where the winner will challenge the notorious 187 Homicide for the championship that same night. I also understand former WWE competitor Scotty 2 Hotty is going to be there for all the shows, at least on the 18th, 20th, and 21st. Wow. I'm bummed they decided to have they're going to have karaoke right after SummerSlam goes off, but I wasn't going to sit through SummerSlam, or as I call it, Summer Sham. Definitely some good-looking women came to this show, I should say. So Outlaw Wrestling, you did great. As I said, I will think twice about going back for a show at the Queen's Brewery in the summertime. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be air conditioning for the shows in Williamsburg, Rockaway Beach, as well as Bayshore. I will not be at the show in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn on August 20th. I will be at Wrestling Is Now, which is happening in New Jersey. So, nice way for Outlaw Wrestling. I know this was their only show here in July. Nice way to ride for Outlaw Wrestling to ride off into the sunset, at least for this month.